Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to episode 5 of Soul Searching, my epic video diaries. This past week was Passover, Pesach, so that's what this episode is going to be about predominantly. I'll throw in sprinkle a little bit of something else at the end just to update you on the rest of my life. But I really want to spend most of this time talking about Passover. Passover, Pesach, whatever you call it, it is one of my favorite holidays. I love coming together with family and friends, though this year that was not the case, at least not for my family, because A, because of COVID, and B, because, I'm in South Korea. But I do love this idea of a yearly gathering of family and friends and telling the same story over and over again, which may sound superfluous. We know this story. It's the Moses story. Prince of Egypt taught us when we were young. And, I still watch it. I love that movie. Each new year, we have this really incredible opportunity to find new things within the story that we need at that given time. And we also have the ability to blend old traditions from our family and create new ones. And that is something that has always been kind of miraculous to me about the holiday. And so it is one of my favorites, even though, matzah's involved. Though since becoming gluten-free, matzah is not as big of a deal because I can have gluten-free matzah, and gluten-free matzah is infinitely better than regular matzah, I will admit. As Passover neared this year, I spent a lot of time thinking about how I was going to celebrate the holiday. I had initially wanted to go to this really awesome sea parting festival. It's a natural occurrence. It's called the Jindo Sea Parting Festival, or Miracle Sea Parting Festival, and it happens between two islands in the southern part of Korea. And the water parts. There's some scientific reason why it does, but I had really wanted to go because the waters part. That is the story. And you can go and you can walk, but unfortunately the festival was canceled for this year because of COVID-19. And Maddie and Emmy and I had given some thought as to whether we wanted to make the adventure down and just see it anyways, because it's a natural occurrence even if the festival was canceled. But it would have been a little strenuous and kind of expensive for some weird times and not any other activities, so we decided not to go. So instead, I decided that I really wanted to do my own Seder. Of course, I had totally thought about doing a Seder. I brought my own box of matzah, gluten-free matzah, and I did a Seder while I was in Ghana. But something about the physical experience of celebrating the holiday at the Jindo Sea Parting Festival seemed really appealing. But it ended up working out for the best that we couldn't go, because I found that the Seder was what I really needed. We're living in a time of uncertainty and confusion, and so having this Seder, this special night, something that I have looked forward to every single year, really gave me the opportunity to sink in and connect to home even though I wasn't there, and connect to my roots as a Jew, and definitely eased some of the worry and has helped me feel even a little bit more settled. But I'll get more into that later, because that was Saturday night. So I will start with Seder number 1, night 1, Wednesday the 8th. That's it. I can remember things. Pesach starts at sundown, so as soon as I got home from work on Wednesday, I started getting all of my stuff ready for the Seder. I'm not talking about my own Seder, that was on Saturday night. I am talking about this Seder. So this is my setup for my Zoom Seder with Hakahila. So Zoom will start sometime soon. It's a trilingual service, so it's in English, Korean, and Hebrew, which is really awesome. This is my Seder plate. This is the best I could do at this moment's notice. I've got some jam that I'm going to use in place of charoset. I will make charoset for Saturday night, but not tonight. I got my salt water. I've got my own wine glass. We've got Elijah's cup, and then we have Miriam's cup. My gluten-free matzah. Woohoo! It survived my suitcase. I've got some lettuce for the chatzeret. I have cilantro for the karpas. I've got my beitzah. I don't have anything that works as maror, so those bitter herbs will have to do. And then I've got my orange for including the LGBT community. And this is, and of course, Theodore over there, Theo. We all met him last time. But this is going to be my Passover Seder. I'm super excited, and maybe I can take a short video in the middle of it. But Chag Pesach Sameach to me. During the Seder, we all got to sing along, even though we were on mute. So one person had his guitar out and we were able to sing some stuff along with that. I'm sure I drove my neighbors a little bit crazy because I did sing everything at top volume. We took turns reading passages out of the trilingual Haggadah. It was in English and Korean and in Hebrew, which is so cool. And that is now officially saved into my Google Drive forever. The whole thing from start to finish was about 3 hours. That did include the Shulchan Orech, which is the eating of the meal, but still 3 hours. It was a really awesome experience. At the beginning, I was just getting to know everyone, but you could kind of sense people's humor, and I got to know their personalities over the course of the Seder. And during the Shulchan Orech, we exchanged thoughts and stories and giggles, and it made for a really awesome first Seder. Thursday, Friday, I didn't do a whole lot for the holiday except for drink wine and eat matzah and get myself ready for my own Seder. I did spend some of my downtime looking for additional readings and passages to do during the Seder, because one of my favorite aspects of the Seder is that it is totally customizable. The beauty of it being an at-home holiday is that we have the opportunity to do with the Seder whatever we want to. And so I found extra readings from the Hayas Haggadah and from the Kveler Haggadah and from Jewish Boston, and I even brought in parts of the Haggadah that we used in the Seder that I did with Hakahila. So I had everything printed and ready to go in a little pile on my desk-ish thing at home. And on Friday night, I did some prepping. So I hard-boiled all of those eggs and I roasted my beitzah and started cleaning the apartment because it was in bad shape. On Saturday around 12:30, I went and got Emmy from the bus terminal, my very first visitor, which was super exciting. Maddie was close behind, but her bus came in second, so she counts as my second visitor. We headed back to my apartment and I started on my first batch of matzah toffee or matzah crack. delicious. It's a layer of matzah, and of course I'm using gluten-free matzah, so it's so much better. And then a layer of caramel, and then a layer of chocolate and sea salt and almonds on top. Mwah, so good, except for the fact that I burned my first batch. But the second batch was delicious. We went and picked up Maddie at the bus terminal when she arrived and walked to the 7-Eleven to pick up wine, because that's, I think, the only place that you can go and get a bottle of wine in Imshil. We bought 5 bottles of wine for what would be 7 of us at the Seder. I already had a little bit of wine in my apartment that I had been using for the week so far. So we had lots and lots of wine. We had a little bit of extra time in the afternoon, and so between dropping Maddie's stuff off at my apartment and the bottles of wine and the Seder, we went to the cat cafe called Naive Cat. It's right around the corner from my apartment, though most things in Imshil are, I guess, kind of around the corner from my apartment. But we went to the cat cafe. Hey, you pretty?
You know what? That's what I love doing that with putting my face in it.
When we got back, it was time to start really getting ready for the Seder. So we peeled hard-boiled eggs, and we cracked up the matzah toffee and made the charoset and cut up all of the vegetables and set out the Seder plate. I didn't have one Seder plate to put things on, so everything went in little banchan dishes. Banchan are the sides that we have here. So little banchan dishes, and I borrowed a little table from Crystal, and we set up on the carpet in my room because that is the most amount of space that I have. And we all gathered. Everyone came over around 6:45-ish, so just before sundown, and everyone contributed in some little way, bringing a little bit for the Seder. And we all settled in and really started around 7. Unlike when I was in Ghana, I was the only Jew at this Seder. It was me, and then Emmy, Maddie, Crystal, Christian, Mary, and Ethan. Maddie and Emmy were 2 friends that came from other places. You've seen them in my past videos. And then Crystal, Christian, Ethan, and Mary are all English teachers with me here in Imshil. They all work at the English Center. But it was all of their first Seders, and even so, they were game to do anything, and they really wanted to learn and be a part of the Seder. So we did everything round robin. I brought in the passages for people to read, and everyone got to participate, and it was really, really awesome. I mentioned earlier that I took little bits and pieces from the Haggadah that we used during the Seder on Wednesday that was in English, Hebrew, and Korean. So during the 4 questions, since none of them can read Hebrew, I passed around the 4 questions in Hangul, which is the written Korean. So they got the experience of every 8-year-old child who has ever had to read the 4 questions by themselves in Hebrew in front of a bunch of people at a Seder. And it was hilarious. The charoset that I made for this year was based off of the same recipe that I used while I was in Ghana. So it was a Sephardic recipe and a banana-based recipe. I chose to do that partially because bananas are way less expensive than apples, but partially because when I was in Ghana, I did a banana charoset there and really, really liked it. And like I said, wanted to infuse some of my traditions into this evening. So we had a banana charoset and everyone loved it, and everyone was interested in trying it with we used wasabi as the maror. So that sandwich was really interesting for the Hillel sandwich. And everyone had a great time, and then we headed off to go get dinner. I have a relatively small kitchen and no oven in my apartment, and so making a meal for 7 people was not something I wanted to do. So we headed out for dinner, and we were going to go to Dak, which is one of the places that I actually could eat at during Passover because it's chicken and vegetables. Unfortunately, by the time that we got there, it was closed. Nothing in Imshil stays open late, and we weren't even that late, but it closed super early by the time that we got there. They said, nope. So we walked to a different restaurant and then to another restaurant after that, and eventually ended up at the 24-hour Korean restaurant, which is right across the street from the bus terminal. And I ordered perhaps the weirdest dish I ever have in my entire life. Riceless bibimbap. Bopless bibimbap. Bop means rice in Korean. And so this dish would be like me getting fried rice without rice, not even with a cauliflower rice substitute, no rice. So I felt a little bit crazy, and the woman at the front totally thought I was crazy. Luckily, Maddie knows enough Korean that she was able to tell the woman that I was on a diet, which was why I wasn't eating rice, but still, she thought I was crazy.
This bowl will let it cool.
This is my bibimbap, minus the bop.
Yeah, yours is the kind that keeps
Because I cannot eat rice. But so here are my friends eating our rice field dishes. Eating their rice field dishes. Now, many of you may be thinking, Lella, why didn't you just get the bibimbap with the rice? Plenty of Sephardis eat rice on Passover. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I am gluten-free, and so chometz, or what we can't eat on Passover, are things that I can't eat anyway. So if I don't give up rice and corn, I'm not giving up anything, and something about that feels wrong. We're supposed to give up just a little bit to remember the suffering that the Jews went through all those years ago. And so I am doing Passover without rice and without corn, and probably will for the rest of my life. It's also, I grew up not eating rice or corn on Passover, and so that I think would feel just a little bit weird. When we came back, we searched for the afikomen, which was so funny. It took everyone, I think it was like a solid 25 minutes to find the afikomen. I did a really, really good job of hiding it. Everyone ransacked through my entire apartment, and it was so much fun to watch. Everyone's looking for the afikomen. How goes the search, everyone?
Good, but I need to get on top of the chair.
You don't have a stepping stool.
Yeah, because we need to see up top. Wait, I can look out here.
Did you put it in a place that
Yeah,
you couldn't even
that's-
reach?
No, I put it in a place that I could reach.
A place that you can reach?
Yeah, we've narrowed it down. I told them it's not in the bedroom. But
Huh.
Crystal's checking the bathroom.
Something down the side.
Why-
Yeah, I think the rules that it's actually not in a drawer, right?
I said it wasn't in a bedroom drawer.
I see. It could be in one of these.
This is so fun. Crystal and Maddie shared the victory, so they each got a bar of chocolate because I happened to have extra since I didn't use chocolate on the matzah toffee that I burned. So they were each able to get a prize, and then we continued on with the rest of the Seder. Throwing it back to Ghana, during that Seder, the power went out halfway through the meal, and so we did the entire second half of the Seder by candlelight. And that was something that was really special and profound to be able to do this, really have this incredible moment, especially when you open the door for Elijah and do that with just the lighting of the candles. And so we came back after the afikomen and lit candles a second time. This time we didn't do a prayer, but we just lit candles. And then we continued on with our service. We opened up the door for Elijah. Pretty sure he never came because of COVID-19. We're not supposed to be traveling between people's houses. Ha ha ha! After Elijah didn't come to visit, there were only a few passages left in the Seder. And then we finished and just hung around. We ate the matzah toffee, we drank more wine, we played cards, And it was a really, really wonderful night. And save for being able to spend it with my family, I would not have wanted it any other way. On Sunday, Emmy, Maddie, and I headed out to go get dak galbi because we were all craving it since we didn't get to have it on Saturday night, but it was closed. And we were so confused why it was closed. And then we remembered it's Easter. So we walked around for a while trying to find a place that was open, but we had very little success in that. The 24-hour Korean place was open, but I was way too embarrassed to go back and order bibimbap without the bop once again. So we just headed back to my apartment after stopping at one of the corner stores. Emmy and Maddie picked up some kimbap and some dumplings that they made, and I made matzo pizza. And then I brought them back to the bus terminal and they headed on their way, and I relaxed at home. It is Tuesday now, so I have just one more day to go of Passover, and I am going to break my Passover with some rice. Location change. Whoop, whoop. I had to leave school to catch my bus. Otherwise, I would have been stuck there with just the principal because all of the other teachers had a conference to go to in the middle of the day. This Passover has definitely been a unique one, and one that most of us will remember, I imagine, for the rest of our lives. And over the course of this week, I've done a lot of thinking and wanted to share some thoughts with you. As the 4 questions go, why is this night different from all other nights? This year, you could really answer that question in any number of ways. Maybe the night was different for you because you did Seder in your pajamas, or the night was different because you weren't with your family, or the night was different because you were the only Jew celebrating amongst your friends in South Korea. But whatever your reason was, you celebrated. When we celebrate Passover, we tell the story of the Exodus, of Jews leaving the land of Egypt, finally free from slavery and heading towards the promised land. This is a story that we tell over and over and over again, and this year, to me, it seemed even more important than it had been in past years. I heard so many stories of people doing virtual seders, Zoom seders, and sharing the holiday with loved ones and friends on an online platform. There was even Saturday Night Seder, which, if you haven't seen it, you definitely need to pause this right now and go watch it. I know it's an hour and 10 minutes, but it's totally worth it. What do all of these Zoom Seders mean? Well, it means that despite all of the hardships and the isolation, this story, the story of the Jewish people, managed to bring so many people together. Stories have this awe-inspiring ability to transcend time and space and bring us together even in the most unlikely of circumstances. The story helps us find peace and provide some sense of normal even in this weird and difficult time. It also reminds us of our resilience, not just as Jews, but as humankind. Despite plagues and hatred, people came together and walked basically into the unknown, but came out on the other side. The story of Passover feels especially profound this year. We as a community, as a world, are walking into the unknown. We don't know when this will end. We don't know what's on the other side. But what we can do for now is stick together. We can, in our community, lift each other up, and we will find something on the other side. I think Passover came at the exact time that we all needed it. We all need to hear this story of how a people made it through, even though darkness was what surrounded them. The customary final words of the Seder are L'Shana Haba'ah Yerushalayim. Some of us may get to celebrate our Seders next year in Jerusalem, but I think the idea is that we strive for the meaning of Jerusalem. Jerusalem means city of peace and wholeness, 2 attributes our world desperately lacks during this time of crisis. After this 21st century plague, our world, our communities will need time to mourn and to heal. None of us will ever be the same, but I hope that by Pesach next year, we will be able to celebrate in Jerusalem, in a place of peace and wholeness. Chag Pesach Sameach. I hope you all, despite these rough times, were able to enjoy your holiday just a little bit. I hope that this tradition made you feel like everything was normal for just a little bit of time. All right, I'm gonna end it there for the week. After all, it was the special Passover edition, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see something funny that did happen to me this week, though, it was actually this morning, you can continue watching after the second set of videos at the end. But if you choose not to, thanks for watching. I had a lot of fun telling you about my Passover, and I hope that you will continue watching my videos. I will see you sometime soon for episode 6. But for now, see you later. Hello, how's everyone doing this morning? I hope you're having better luck than I am. Today has started off in a very interesting way. I got on my 8:20 bus to go to Dairy Elementary, even though it's Tuesday. They had to switch my Monday and Tuesday this week because I had to do some video recording yesterday at Seoul Elementary. So here I am on Tuesday going to Dairy Elementary, my Monday school, but that's besides the point. I was getting on my bus, my 8:20 bus, which is the exact same bus that I take on Thursdays to go to Shindok Elementary, but 20 minutes later. And it is now 9 something, and I am not at Dairy Elementary. So the bus took me to Gwancheon Terminal, which is where it's supposed to go first, and then it heads towards the other direction, towards Shindok, towards Unam. And today, it didn't. It headed in some other direction. All the signs said that we were headed to Jinan. So I texted my co-teacher and I said, hey, I don't know what's happening. Want to come pick me up? So I'm waiting at a bus stop. I'm not really sure where, but he has my location and he's gonna come pick me up. And hopefully the day will turn out better than it has so far. Finally made it.